So the first, number one, was we must long to please Christ. Number two, we must live to please Christ. So it needs to be our desires to please Christ, but it's not enough just to say, that'd be a good thing to do. We need to actually do it. We need to put some legs on those prayers, if you will. And there are times that God's word requires action on our part. And let's go back and read verse 9 and then verse 10 again, okay? Take a look at this. Here is verse 9. For this reason, since the day we heard about you, we've not stopped praying for you. We continually ask God to fill you with the knowledge of His will through all the wisdom and understanding that the Spirit gives. Okay, good prayer, Paul. Thank you. Thanks for that. But then he says, and again, here's why. So that you may live a life worthy of the Lord and please Him in every way, bearing fruit in every good work, and growing in the knowledge of God. So it's not just about having your fortune told to you. It's all about getting God's will so you know how to do these things, to bear fruit and to get to know Him more and more and more and more. Letter A. Take a look at this. Paul's emphasis on knowledge and wisdom and understanding in verse 9 cannot be separated from the action in verse 10. Let me put it to you this way. God, I pray that you would fill my car with gas. Okay, 15 gallons later, or however big your tank is, it's in there. Okay, that's awesome, God. Thank you. Now, I'm never going to start that thing, and I don't plan on taking it anywhere, but thank God I got me a full tank of gas. Okay? That's silly. I would have, you put gas in your tank for a reason. Okay? That gas in the tank brings about an action of you driving the car. Right? Getting God's, it's ironic that I'm sharing that metaphor today. Now that I think about it. We'll tell the story later. So the gas is the will of God. Okay. God, I want to know your will. Okay, here you go. Great. That should then prompt an action on your part. It's to bear fruit. It's to do good works. Attaining the knowledge in verse 9 cannot be separated from putting legs on the prayer in verse 10. They go together. How many of you know that God blesses us for a purpose? God answers our prayers for a purpose. And it's rarely just about you. Again, even your personal prayers. God, heal my body. Okay, great, that's awesome. Boom, there you go, you're healed. Okay, it's not just about you. Okay, it's now who can be impacted by that? When they see that testimony, when they hear that testimony, right? That's why I'm doing this. May others see what God has done and put their faith in God. This is why God answers prayers, not just, again, to gratify our desires and to fulfill our comfort. There's a higher purpose. Letter B puts it this way. I highlighted it for you. Pursuing God's will for our lives must be defined as deliberately living in submission and surrender rather than living in comfort and convenience. I want to walk in God's will. Awesome. That means you have just taken on a life of submission to Him. Ooh, I don't like that. I mean, I want God's will, but I want to do it my way. if that's cool. And God says, okay. And surrender. Ooh, surrender. No, I like my stuff. And I like everything that I have. And God says, you know what? You got to surrender everything to me. If you want to walk in my will, then you got to surrender everything to me, and I'm in charge, and you just depend on me. Just depend on me. It's more about submission and surrender than it is comfort and convenience. And that flies in the face of a lot of Western Christianity today. Very much so. Does this all make sense?